Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram Om. 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 Om Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Hari Om to everybody.
Hari Om Swamiji.
Hari Om. Pranam.
Hari Om Swamiji.
Yesterday we were sharing some thoughts. Huh? Hari Om. Yesterday we were sharing thoughts on Mother Nature. You remember? How Papa, and we said we remembered a quotation. when we went for it, series of quotations came. The first one, we have the magnificent book of nature spread out before us, a picture of unsurpassing beauty and charm, and the spontaneous, blissful self-expression of the indwelling God. Yesterday we were telling, when we pass through scenic locations, beauty, Ghat section, from a hilltop, and two sides only paddy fields, In Andhra Pradesh, when we are going to the Shanti Ashram, we can see if you go by road, extensive fields, paddy field. You cannot see the end of it. So when we see that, what happens in us, At that time we never felt anything. It is nice, 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 nice. Why do we say it is nice? He says, the spontaneous and blissful self-expression of the indwelling God. There happens an inner alignment, what is there in us, inside us, and what is there in the outside. We are unable to express it. It can't be expressed also. It comes in some form. So Papa says, let us look at it, read in it the glorious presentation and the varied activity of the beloved. This is a very important word. We don't have to search for him anywhere. Right in front of us he is there. Look at it, read in it the glorious presentation and the varied activity of the beloved. Look on the infinite play of the infinite, Infinite, small I. The infinite play, the I is capital. Look on the infinite play of the infinite. And by deep absorption into the beloved, enjoy immortal joy. This is the goal. All else is ephemeral, not worth striving for. Everybody loves it. We were sharing the other day, of our going to Girnar Hills. 9,500 steps. Still people are going there, What for? The instrumental cause is Lord Datta's Paduka is there. But along with that, the beautiful sight he places before us. From the top of the hill, when we look at it, how insignificant we come to learn. How significant he is everywhere. Oh, what a grand display is thine. What a sublime manifestation. The vast sheets of water, the mighty oceans that dazzle in the sunlight like molten silver, bearing in their bosom a variety of animal lives of their own creation, are thyself only. O extensive sky, what a... From there we move to possessing fearlessness born of love, absence of otherness. When we were reading In Quest of God, we found Papa resorting to some jungles, and where he writes, the jungle was infested with wild pigs, serpents, scorpions, and other venomous creatures. Every night a herd of about 20 to 30 wild pigs would surround the mandir, the door of which was always open. And he was there inside. The wild animals would come to dig out roots with their snouts from the marshy land surrounding the mandir, for these roots were their food. Ramdas was freely going out in the nights when they were about, but by Ram's grace they never harmed him. The villagers who were coming there during the day would warn him of ferocious nature of these wild beasts, but complete trust in Ram means full protection and no fear. Moreover, day and night, the mandir was freely visited by long black serpents, none of which, however, molested him. Again, every morning, when he lifted up the gunny or sack piece, spread for him by the kind sannyasis as asana or seat, which Ramdas would use only as bed at night, he would discover beneath it a number of reddish yellow scorpions, but none of these stung him. O Ram, he says, thy loving arm is ever ready to protect thy humble slave, and who could harm him? Thou art, O Ram, everywhere in all creatures, the whole universe, and all in it is thy own manifestation. O Ram, all glory to thee. Nice to read. It doesn't mean that whenever a snake comes, we will keep quiet. We will never take any adventurous steps. But what can be done by us is, we try to understand the presence. Wherever it is possible, we try to extend ourselves. Extend ourselves means not merely the body. We had shared in this Satsang session many such incidents. Again, we will repeat for the sake of those who are hearing it for the first time. Prior to coming here almost on a permanent basis, we were in Wayanad. There was a hillock, and no human being was there. 5 acres of such land was gifted to one Swami. There was a great saint in Kerala called Sri Narayana Guru, and his first and foremost disciple was Nataraja Guru. Nataraja Guru was gifted with these 5 acres of land, and one Austrian couple, Belgium couple. Just imagine, Belgium couple met him, and somehow they were inspired, and they wanted to be in India somewhere. So Nataraja Guru immediately said, somebody has given 5 acres, you go and settle there. Nobody is there. 2-3 kilometers, no human being. And then somehow we happened to know each other. They used to come. So one day they said, why don't you come? So we went there. So we saw they themselves have built the house. Thick plastic sheets were there, walls. And on the top also there were some sheets, like our, blue sheets, tarpaulin. No door. So as we were about to go, suddenly she showed the signs, asked me to stop. I was going for the first time. Somebody is coming, and how do you feel, like this? And we knew it will not be without any purpose. So we again looked at her. Then she showed. On a papaya tree, a crow was eating a ripe papaya. If I come, reach their house through the steps, it would disturb and go away. So her care and concern was such that the crow should eat everything. I can understand. She knew, I can understand. Okay, so we stayed there. After the crow flew away, we went there. She said, sorry, no, I can understand. Then we were sitting. She said, we'll have breakfast. What breakfast? One or two cashew nut, dates, something like that, dry fruits with a banana, that's all. And milkless tea. So three of us were sitting outside the room, and it will not be done methodologically, methodically. It's not that you go and sit there. There will be asanas there, there will be plates there, neat. One by one it was served. When we were eating, suddenly we heard a sound. So, she said, my friend has come. So, who is your friend? We couldn't even conceive such thing. This had happened in 70s, early 70s. So we also got up. So they have stacked the firewood. Underneath, a cobra was coming like this. She immediately took a plate. They are buying milk only for that purpose. Put the milk there, and then it came, it was licking, and afterwards it went away. In such a place, there is no door. When we read this, we remember absence of otherness. It is not reserved for Mahatmas alone, no. The person with whom we were working, there have been many instances. Because in a state that you will see a lot of things. We, as a principle, we don't kill anything there. Snakes will be there. So many things, whatever he has written here. We have never heard anybody dying of any snake bite. So these are all some of the ways by which we can expand ourselves, Me to me, from me to me to me to we. It is their place we have trespassed. For eking our livelihood, we have developed the plantation. But it is the place where they were freely moving about, Suppose we remember that. Instead of telling, how can I live? I want to live at the cost of others. That is not the way, We have shared this, but for the sake of newcomers, whenever there is a cobra or any snake is found, when the workers were working in the field, immediately one Mestri will be there, Ayyappa Mestri. He will be called, and we have always, in our office, we have kept lot of earthen, pots, madkas. And he is a snake catcher. He has got his own ways. He will repeat the name of Lord Muruga in so many words. Suddenly he will go and catch it on the neck. And then put it in the madka there. And cover it with a plastic sheet. Make a small hole. And pour milk and everything there. Then we take it in a jeep. Go to the ghat section. Slowly break it on the rock. It will go away. We had stayed there and very nearby with no electricity. So during nights, if we have to go, we will be passing through such areas only. Never we have heard anybody or we have come across any. There was a snake, there was a cobra. In the night, it will not trouble us. We used to go without torch. She is there in the estate property. She will not disturb anybody. She will come out when during daytime and then go back. There are so many such incidents that comes to our mind. It is not that only Mahatmas can. No, it is practically possible. Though they may not say this philosophy. That's all. That is the only difference. The Jain with whom we are working, he is always fearless. He will never carry anything. Yes, this also I will repeat. We were going from Wayanad to Mysore. In our car there was a Shastri, an exponent in Jain philosophy. He was to render a pravachan in the evening at Mysore. So there is a forest area infested by wild animals. Suddenly he stopped the car there and asked the Shastri, suppose a wild elephant now comes and there is a double-barrel gun in our car, what will you do? We felt highly embarrassed. He is an elderly person, no? And mastered all Jain philosophies. So he knew this man also knows something about Shastras. And he is honest, straightforward, truthful. So he said, I have not reached your stage. I will try as far as possible to free myself from the attack of the wild animal. But if nothing succeeds, if I have the gun, with reluctance I may use it to safeguard myself. He is the person who is going to render. If you are wedded to ahimsa, nothing can harm you, That is the textual knowledge, I felt highly embarrassed because this person is asking like this and he has to tell it in front of me. He would feel bad, Immediately I asked him, what will you do? Immediately he got down from the car, went to the front, He said, I will stand here. If I am honest in my non-violence, ahimsa tattva, a wild elephant which comes to me, it will go back. If it doesn't go back and chase me and throw me out, nothing wrong with the ahimsa, my lack of faith in ahimsa. Abhayam Sattva Shuddhi, when we read in Delhi, in Bhagavad Gita, always we remember this incident. In 16th chapter, Devi Sampat, the Lord is discussing about 24 values. The first one is Abhayam, fearlessness. Abhayam Sattva Samshuddhi, Jnana Yoga Vivastiti, Dhanam Damascha Yajnascha Swadhyayastava Arjavam, Ahimsa, Satyam, Akrodam, Tyagam, Shanti, Apaishunam, Daya Bhudeshu, Bhudeshu Daya, just imagine, Daya Bhudesh, Aloluttam, Mardavam, Hri Achapalam, Teja Kshama Dridi Shaujam, Adroho Natimanita. All these things are there in Bhagavad Gita. So whenever we remember this abhayam, ahimsa, adroham, we remember that person. So that is why later on when we started closely associating with Papa's thoughts, and when he said the world you live in is a school in which observation and experience, he gave us opportunity to observe. At that time our appreciation was for the individual. He is a noble person, that is how we feel it. But later on we found, no, it was not like that. I made you to observe it so that you will know it is practically possible. It is not a textual declaration. It can be applied in our daily life. In order to make you know that it can be applied in our daily life, it is not a tall talk. He made you to closely associate with such persons and then observe in times when, such crises come. Not in a sattvic mood like this, where everything is protected. The other day we were telling, in Coimbatore, when in Shirdi Baba's temple, many years back, many decades back, Suddenly a Naga came. Then the chief priest said, all be seated. It came, Archana was going on. It came, went slowly to Baba's steps and then stayed there for some time and turned back. And so now it is called Nagasai temple. It is when Papa says a serpent was coiling on his foot. And in that, in the vision of God, we have read how it came, everybody ran out, and how he gave the jaggery, or what is that? Jaggery, yeah. Then asking, why are you so in a hurry to go, Just imagine. So the masters say, at the same time, masters show us, and they also facilitate us to watch this by ordinary people. We call them as ordinary people, but they are extraordinary people, no doubt. But these are all not tall talks. So when we hear possessing fearlessness, born of love, that means absence of otherness. He always sees Ram, 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 Ram. And from there we move to firm in our commitment to the ideal. These are all the revelations coming out from IQG in-depth study. So we have to ponder over all these things, along with our preparatory measures. Be firm, in what, when it affects our sadhana, we should be firm. When it is concerned with other people, we should be flexible. So firm and flexible, each one of us should have. When in our sadhana we are prompted to undertake a particular discipline, God will test us through so many outer factors and persons also to dissuade us out of their love for us. But we should be firm. When Vinobaji had this, Vinobaji had written a lot of books, articles. He had mastered all our scriptures. And he was leading such a noble life. And at his 85th year, when he developed some pain here, immediately doctor rushed up. He allowed them to examine. And then they said it is a massive heart attack. He has to be immediately admitted to the hospital. He said no. Then finally they thought they would bring all the equipments, and somebody will be there to do it. So he said, no medicine. Next day morning he said, no water, no food. Everybody pleaded. The whole nation pleaded. Indira Gandhi, the then Prime Minister, rushed up to Paunar, pleaded. She did not change. Firm. Papa in one of his quotations says, to live like dumb-driven cattle is not the purpose of life. Each individual has to draw upon all the latent resources of his or her existence in order to rise to the height of absolute freedom, a freedom by virtue of which he or she yields wherever it is necessary to yield and stands firm like a rock wherever it is proper to do so. To be a timid creature without firm convictions, vacillating at every passing breeze and circumstance, is indeed to become an object of pity on the part of some, derision on the part of others. So these two things we have to have. Firm and flexible. The firmness should be on one's life, one's own life. Flexible on others. We will not have any rigid views about men and matters. But as far as our spiritual journey is concerned, our holding on to the truth, our holding on to the values, we should be very firm. This is very important, very important. When during 1920 to 22, when Papa was undergoing self-imposed disciplines, withdrawal from everything, you all know that, no? Limiting to 1 meal a day, using only 2 clothes, lying on a mat, always chanting Ram Nam. He was becoming thinner and thinner. Everybody rushed up. His wife and child, they started crying and they started thinking that something has gone wrong with him. Brothers rushed, father rushed up, but he was very firm. Chandrasekhar Rao in Passage to Humanity says, Lakshmi Ben, Papa's sister, she is very close right from the childhood. So she prepared a sweet which normally he likes and then brought. Everybody thought he will not say no to Banji. But he said sorry. Ramdas is not prompted to take it. But at the same time we know, whenever it concerns others, you are the most flexible person. So firm in one's discipline, flexible in matters concerning others. These are all the revelations from IQG. And the last one in this category, we all, we were all inspired by Papa. When we come to this ashram for the first time, we only see the charming, attractive and elevating form of Papa there in the bhajan hall. And slowly we know we like Ram Nam, we try to read everything. After some time we all go back to our own place. Nothing happens to our life. We have very high opinion about Papa. But then any small incident happens in our life, we will not. We will become panicky, we will become excited, we will become angry, we will become frustrated. In spite of our close association with Papa's thoughts and coming to ashram and doing Ram Nam, suddenly we will get upset. Why? When we try to trace, this is how Papa made us to feel. Starting the spiritual journey from where Papa started, not from where he ended. The picture shows only the play after he has ended, So we will not be able to know him. We would have read some book. That is why we have not even read that book seriously. Or Papa's words. We will just read out a few portions here. While adoring the worshipful form of beloved Papa, we may not have applied our mind sufficiently on the transition part of Vittal Rao to Swami Ramdas, which means the preparatory measures Ram made Papa to go through were perhaps not given due consideration. Papa says, throughout his life and service, Brief periods of employment were followed by longer periods of unemployment and idleness. Before he had hardly settled down at one place, depending upon the appointment he had secured, circumstances so seemed to work up that he lost the post for no fault of his, and he had once again to embark on a quest of securing some fresh means of livelihood. Thus, for him, continued domestic felicity was not to be, and the sweet pleasures of a home of his own were for the greater part of the year denied to him. After a checkered career for several years, he finally came down to Mangalore in 1917 and joined his father-in-law in his business. It went against his grain to stoop to any of the tricks of the trade. Inevitably, this led to a clash with his father-in-law, and he soon severed his connection with the business and started his own business in dyeing fabrics and printing saris. But he was too good to be a businessman, and the financial condition of the business was drifting from bad to worse. His domestic life also was none too happy. Slowly and imperceptibly, the external circumstances were helping Vittal Rao's religious inclination to become deeper and his spirit of dispassion to gain an added strength and impetus. Every evening, he spent an hour in the house of his brother Sitaram Rao, whose children would be engaged in bhajan before the image of Lord Krishna. During the bhajan, Vittal Rao would lose himself in a blissful state of self-forgetfulness. It was at this time Vittal Rao started chanting the Lord's name Ram, and the repetition of the name brought him great mental peace and joy. He kept up a ceaseless flow of the blessed name on his tongue, and its humming would automatically issue from his lips, even when he was at work or was walking in the streets. He gave up the night meal and other petty comforts of the body. His wife got thoroughly frightened at the strange turn of her husband's life. Husband's life was rapidly taking now. No persuasion, appeal, or protest, either from her or from his child, could induce him to alter the course he was now made to follow. Here also we find the firmness, because he felt very strongly that he was set upon this path by the highest power, which he was struggling to attain and realize. This critical period in Vittal Rao's life and the psychological struggle he was now undergoing have been beautifully and graphically described by him in Quest of God. Virat Papa says, now from the narrow pond of worldly life, Ram had lifted up his slave to throw him into the extensive ocean of a universal life, but to swim in the wide ocean. Ram knew Ramdas wanted strength and courage, for gaining which Ram intended to make his ignorant and untrained slave to pass through a course of severe discipline, and this under his direct guidance and support. So when we go through from where he started, not from where he ended, how Vittal Rao became Swami Ramdas, that is an important factor in our journey. Then only we know he was also going through the challenges which we normally meet with in our daily life, the problems connected with the duties, commitments, and the various tests meted out on him. We may not know that it is God who is telling us, but at the family level, at the professional level, at the social level, every one of us face it. If we go through Papa's teachings, suddenly we will say, oh, like us, he was also going through. What was his attitude and what is our attitude? Can we change a little in our attitude? How did he do it? Slowly we understand he was chanting to remember him and submitting to his will. developing a positive approach to everything, not reacting violently to provocative circumstances. Like that, so many things which can be tried by all of us. So if our master's life should become a source of inspiration to us, we must weave in through our own life, integrate it to our own life. Otherwise it becomes a textual knowledge, academic knowledge, something which we store and reproduce to others. But when something happens to our life, he was able to expand from me to we at every stage. When it was me to me, he said, always problem. The moment he was blessed with the vision to expand from me to we, everything got a changed perspective. He did not change the world, but he changed himself. It's a wonderful lesson for all of us. That's why we say, whenever we meet a saint, and if we are inspired, we should start from where he started, not from where he ended. Many saints don't write about their background. But during their talks with devotees, when devotees ask them some question, they will reveal. But in Papa's case, he has revealed everything, probably not in detail. The first few words that portray for nearly a year, Ramdas struggled on in a world full of cares, anxieties and pains. First line of In Quest of God. It was a period of terrible stress and restlessness, all of his own making. In this utterly helpless condition, full of misery, where is relief, where is rest? That was the cry, heart's cry of Ramdas. Then the cry was heard. Suppose we stop there and start thinking about it, Did we pray? If at all our prayer has come, it has come from the lip level. It has not come from the bottom level. Because many people used to say in Satsang that God has not put us in such a stressful period. That is why we don't feel the earth from within. To concentrate on Him, to dedicate on Him. He has provided us with a comfortable life, where the sense of individuality feels it can manage everything by itself. It doesn't need the need of God. But when a kick and knock comes, immediately we pray. Again, after that, we forget about it and we are back to square one. But in his case, it was not like that. He had kicks and knocks that drove him to a corner where he couldn't see anything, any line of relief. Then he cried from the bottom of the heart, and the prayer was heard. So that is why, along with the preparatory measures, he made us to list up 8 points. What were the 8 points? It started from, that is preparatory. Okay, we will go through that again. Preparatory, okay. Grace.
Clarity on the word Ram.
Clarity on the word Ram. Ram and spirit.
Ram and me.
And me and Ram.
Rely on inner Guru.
Rely on inner Guru.
Papa and Ram.
There is a confusion between Papa and Ram, so that was all. Papa and Ram stands for one, and then Yes, then?
Therefore, subdue me and mine.
Subduing me and mine, Swamiji.
Subduing me and mine. And our spiritual practices should not be for anything worldly, but to realize Him.
Swamiji, be firm in our own sadhana, but we can relax in the worldly matters when it concerns others.
Yeah, quite right. And so preparatory measures, all of us are now, at least in our mind it is clear. There is no chronological order for this, please note. Don't worry about the chronological order. And then we moved to the second category called pondering over simultaneously. So in that, what was the first one?
Old origin.
Nothing is coming from though. We have, oh, you lost your connection.
Not it. Yes, gone.
You want the dongle? Might come.
YouTube is there because YouTube is there, connection is there.
Will they be hearing?
Some of them are there. Afterwards, they can watch. Immediately, it is kept with posted in the group.
Thank God. Try that. Oh. 5 o'clock. But still we will start with the origin, no?
It is coming, sir.
Coming.
It has gone to origin. Yes.
Anandashram Satsang left.
Hari Om, please.
Hari Om.
Yes, Swami.
So we have covered. Probably Papa will, there should be a break so that all of us will think about it deeply. So from the preparatory measures, ponder simultaneously on. The first thing was go to the our and the world origin. It's a very important point. So that will give us a lot of clarity on the word Ram, lot of the clarity on the word sense of individuality. Everything, that will be cleared when we go to the source. Because the source will reveal that we are all from Him. Bijam Mam Sarvabhutanam. That 4 quotes from Bhagavad Gita. Know that I am the eternal seed of all beings. I am the supreme goal of all living beings. I am also their sustainer, master, witness, which were not known to us till then. Abode, shelter, friend. I am the origin, end, resting place of creation. I am the repository and eternal seed. That is the 9th chapter. And in 10th chapter, I am the generating seed of all living beings. No creature moving or non-moving can exist without me. Another chapter he says, my womb is the real Brahman. In it I place the seed. From that, O Bharda, is the birth of all beings. And the last, it may not be the last, we were able to dig out 4 or 5, there could be many. In the same chapter he says, it should be understood that all species of life are made possible by birth in this material nature, and I am the seed-giving father. So like that, when we try to go to the origin, it reveals that, oh, my parents are only the instrumental cause. And the body is given to me based upon my karma sanchitam. Unfulfilled desires, unfulfilled vasanas, that has made me to take this body. But he is there. He is the one who initiated this process. Makes me to go through the prarabdha, which I have earned. And in that, by his grace, he connects up with evolved souls, where those people have realized the presence of him in them. And then, out of his love for our redemption, he makes us to get inspired, and then makes us to go through intensely and slowly start moving towards that. So then we not only remember him with all gratitude for all that he has done, he has been doing till this moment. We also find an affinity with the rest of the creation. Because if that is the case in myself, that is the case with everything else. So he is the CEO or father of all. There is a slogan, Jagat Pita, Jagat Mada. You remember? Mata ja Parvati Devi, Pita Devo Maheshwara, Bandhava Shivabhakta, Swadesho Bhuvanatrayam. So my mother is Parvati Devi, my father is Lord Shiva. Like that, we have been, there are so many slogas. Even that is why in Puri, it is called Jagannath. Jagannath means Lord of Jagat. It is not confined to any particular place. So these concepts. So when Papa said, go to the origin, it's a wonderful way of making us to go within. More about it day after tomorrow. Tomorrow is Sunday. So what is required is not merely reading or hearing, in quest of God, in-depth study warns us that unless we do the inward journey and expand our vision, the real purpose will not be served at all. We have to watch whether we are bringing more and more of his creation in our love circle. How do we react to events and individuals? Do we get attached? So this detachment does not mean indifference or dislike. We will be affectionate to everybody, but at the same time detached with everybody. So such lessons, are we developing it? We have to watch ourselves, because he will be testing. Not only that he is providing all these things for us to absorb, to assimilate. Whenever we go out, step out, we find he will be meting out innumerable tests for us. So how do we react? For that do we hold on to him through the Ramnam? These things also are to be reminded always. So with that we will take a break. We will all meet on Monday evening. Hari Om. Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram